All media in this video is used for the purpose of review and commentary, under terms of fair use. All footage, music, and images used belong to their respective companies. Viewer discretion is advised. Calm your tits. If you ask someone what film best describes the late 20th century, chances are, if they've seen it, they'd say Robocop. It's a social satire about everything that was wrong with the society at the time. So when I heard a remake was being made, I was absolutely excited. We don't have enough social satire in films these days. Movies are simply too afraid to say something for fear of being misinterpreted by casual, brainless moviegoers. And sadly, Robocop is one of those movies. Right off the bat, you get the message the film is trying to convey, and that is, drones are bad. Yeah, we get it. Drone strikes cause casualties up the wazoo. This message would be fine if the film was at least subtle about it. The thing that made the original film so good is that it was subtle. You had no idea what the film's message was because it wasn't shoving it in your face all the time. It was, corporations are evil, the media is brainwashing us, and Robo-Jesus has come to save us all. But it was all done in a way to not feel intrusive. What drives the lack of subtlety home is how they handle Alex Murphy's death and rebirth. In the original, he's killed very slowly. As a kid, I had to look away from the screen as I simply could not sit through something that gruesome. To this day, I still have trouble watching that scene. It's incredibly, viscerally brutal. It builds up the rest of the movie. In the remake, Alex Murphy is killed in an explosion. It takes all of 2 seconds, almost like he never even mattered to begin with. Alex Murphy was simply there to get killed and nothing more. Even more confusing than how they handled his death is how they handled his rebirth. Not to always go back and forth between the original and the remake, but the 1987 film handled this much better. It takes 4 minutes for Robocop's full rebirth. In this film, it takes up most of the first act. The film's pacing is very sloppy overall, and not just compared to the first Robocop film, but even compared to its far inferior sequels. Alex dies, is brought back, goes through training, gets introduced to the public, solves his own murder, and then shoots the goddamn Batman. Now, we didn't need to see that training. That wasn't necessary. He's a robot. You don't need to train robots. Just saying. All of the pacing and lack of subtlety wouldn't be an issue if the action was any good. In the original, I'm really starting to hate saying that, the action was incredible. You could sit down and watch the movie and not give a damn about any sort of message it might have been giving off. But the remake, not so much. The action is very low tension stuff. There's very little sense of danger for Alex that it may as well be non-existent. He's in as much danger as you would be packing heat while taking a stroll down Sesame Street. The film is boring, and to add insult to injury, it knows it's boring. The movie felt like it was 20 minutes long and seemed almost like a pilot to a really bad TV show. You know, the kind they'd air on CTV or some other equally crap Canadian channel. What I found most confusing was the removal of Anne Lewis and the forced inclusion of Alex's wife and son. Yes, he had them in the original. Yes, they did have some very short screen time. That's about it. You see them once when Robocop goes back to Alex Murphy's home, and he starts to have memories about them. And did you notice how I called him Robocop, but when I refer to this film, it's Alex Murphy? That's because there is no Robocop. The whole film, it's Alex Murphy. The only time he's referred to as Robocop is by Sam Jackson's character. I guess because they felt embarrassed about making a film with a character called Robocop. But then why even make a film called Robocop? The irony of this film is that it's a hastily pooped out cash grab made by a greedy corporation to appease to the tastes of the everyday, brainless, popcorn gobbling person. The action is just very sloppy. The message of the original film is nowhere to be found, and the message that this film does present isn't very well presented. Overall, I'd suggest skipping it. Watch the original. Heck, watch the sequels, the live-action TV series, and both cartoons. But skip this. I wouldn't buy it for $1.